This is a place for planting, for digging, for harvesting, for relaxing. It's a place to get your hands dirty, but most of all, it's about having fun. And that's what you'll always have when you're in the garden with Doug Oster. You want a green thumb too, don't you? Well, the days are getting shorter, they're getting colder. Today we have one of those days where it's winter in the morning, going to be summer in the afternoon, and we're talking all about planting seeds, believe it or not. I'm always talking about bringing in compost. If you can't, this is the solution to improving your soil. Well, believe it or not, it's November and we're planting seeds. This is something called a cover crop, and specifically this is winter rye. What we're going to do is make what's called a green manure. As I said, if you can't bring in wheelbarrow after wheelbarrow of compost like I do, all we're going to do is lay this seed down in here. It will actually sprout when it's this cold. It will come up as a thick bladed grass that will sit here. It will be our green manure when we cut it down, but it will also hold the soil in place. You can lose a lot of your soil to erosion over the winter. And since I'm a no-till gardener, what I'm going to do, instead of turning this in next year, I'm just going to cut it down and use it as a mulch. But this is a great way to add something to the soil. Max, what are you going to add to the soil? To add something to the soil that's going to improve it without having to bring in all that compost. And I've got another bed to do also. The other thing that this cover crop is good for is it's great as habitat for beneficial insects. And so I'm just going to scratch this seed in. Not even going to bother to water it because I'm sure we're going to get some rain here and it'll be good to go. As I said, holding the soil in place, providing us lots of good green organic matter next spring. We have a little experiment to do today. Since it is cooling off, I'm going to plant in these cold frames, and you can see the greens and herbs are just loving it under glass. In fact, look at this. There's a little cabbage worm, and he's happy in here too. I want to get rid of him, that's for sure. Now, I've got some winter greens here called a mesclun mix, and I just thought I'd experiment a little bit and just throw the seeds down and make a little carpet of greens in here, and we'll see what happens. Worst case scenario, it doesn't work out, and I invested $2 in some seeds. Now, if you don't have a cold frame, you could plant these and then put something like a floating row cover over it or something else to protect the seeds when they come up, and we'll see what happens. Well, to continue our theme on seeds, we're going to save some seeds today. This is an heirloom bean called Cherokee Trail of Tears. Now, I had them growing up on this trellis, which in my infinite wisdom was like 12 feet tall, so I couldn't get to them. Now I can save these seeds. One note about saving seed, there's two basic plant groups, open pollinated, which we can save from, or hybrid, and that'll be on the plant tag. The hybrid seed will not grow true. It won't be the same thing, so we're always looking for open pollinated varieties. And we want to get to the seeds right before the plant discards them, whatever we're saving. These bean pods have dried out, and you can see the seeds are right in here. And I'm just going to pull the pods off, store them in a bag, a nice dry place, and we'll be ready to plant next spring. I will take these pods off once they completely dry out. And I'll have a lot more seeds for next year. Well, our, I guess, winter planting continues, and of course bargain planting. These big containers of Swiss chard were only $2. They love cold weather. I've got some collards, which are one of the toughest plants for cold weather. In fact, they really sweeten up after a frost. And I'm going to put the Swiss chard right here. We've got our animal protector here, and some Swiss chard out of here. And you can see those are healthy. We're going to loosen that up a little bit though, and put in this nice container of compost. Keep the animals off it, and then I'm going to actually make a greenhouse out of a dry cleaner bag. Now, there are some holes in this. I want to let some air through there, but every time the sun comes out, it's going to warm this plant up, and it's going to be happy. And when it's 32 degrees outside, it's going to be 70 degrees inside. And I'm hoping to pick Swiss chard most of the winter. Now let me get those collards in place too, and I've got a way to protect those. It's a little bit different. Okay, that looks good. All right, so I got my collard plants in place, mulched, and all I'm gonna do is drop this old skylight over it. I've got these skylights from a friend who just couldn't throw them away, wondered, hey, what can I use them for? These are gonna be my winter greenhouse for my collards. They're gonna love it underneath here. Same thing like the Swiss chard. Every time the sun comes through here, it's gonna heat up the soil, and then when the sun's gone, the soil will release its heat, and these collards are gonna go nuts underneath here. All right, the winter jobs continue. Flowering kale is one of my favorite winter plants. Nurseries are giving it away, $3, and nothing to it. Just gonna go right into this pot. These will go at least until Christmas, maybe longer depending on how the winter starts. And it's just so great to have color for this long period when everybody else has closed down their garden. Now we're continuing working, we're buzzing through everything. I still have a shrub to plant, and trees and shrubs, again, on sale, and the perfect time to plant them is right now. Yeah. Our last job of the day is planting this shrub I got for $15. That's half price. It's a viburnum called Summer Snowflake. It puts on beautiful white flowers in early summer, and the deer don't like it. Out here in the open where I don't have things fenced off, I've got to put in something the deer aren't going to like. I've dug my planting hole twice as wide as the plant itself here, the root ball. I'm going to throw some compost in, some compost around, and as I said, this is the time to plant shrubs, and that one's been there for a while. The nursery wants to get rid of these. They don't want to winter them over, so they want them to have a good home, and this is a good home. All right. Number one thing, do not plant it too deep. All right, that's not deep enough. There we go, perfect. All right, let's finish up. Wow, did we get a lot done on a beautiful fall day, almost winter. So happy to be planting still, and you should be too. You should be out there planting bulbs and trees and shrubs. You're gonna be so happy next spring when you see these plants blooming and reaching to the heights. It's awesome. Now check me out online. It's where you can find out lots of other information about what I'm doing in the garden, blogs, videos, and where you can be part of my Everybody Gardens subscription service. We'd love to see you there. Till next week, I got a whole flat of pansies still to plant, and I'm happy to do it. We'll see you then.